Hello, everyone. This is Marcus Williams, the owner and chief designer for RCShox.com. Today, we're going to discuss some of the new products that we just released for the Losi 22.4, which is already a stellar car. Car handles great. Probably one of the best suspensions I've come across on a wheeler. Car's really, really good. Only complaints that I've really received about the car is really the lack of a center diff. With today's power and it's being made by the batteries and the motors, it's just getting to the point where a slipper setup simply is just not gonna hold up. And what's happening with the Losis is the rear diff just isn't lasting long. The only way to keep it on the track really is to tighten it up so tight that it just it starts to affect your handling too much. Locally, anyone that drives this car probably has to rebuild the diff every weekend, every other weekend, depending on that person, depending on how they drive. And our track is probably a medium bite or a covered clay track. I've got a lot of PMs and emails from the guys in the UK and overseas that run on AstroTurf, and they're having a really, really difficult time keeping their cars on the track. They're just eating the rear diff up, and that's because it's a slipper. A slipper, it's wasting power, but you have no power transfer. So it's always if the front tire spin, the back tire spin, and vice versa, and that puts a lot of stress on the rear diff. Let's get to the center diff. Been working on this for about I think about 2 months now. The system itself is nothing new. I've done this for once again about 3 years on the SC10 4x4, which is debatable that center diff change the outcome of that vehicle in itself, because it just, with a center diff on a short course truck, it was nothing but a headache. So the center diff, the way this works is not new. This has been done, like I said, a long time. What I've done is just basically transferred this technology to the Losi 22.4. Okay, so we're gonna go through the install of this, and then I will go back through and explain some benefits to why it's technically better. The tools you're gonna need your thrust bearing grease, which is your standard AE black, or the kit. I believe the Losi kit comes with your black grease, and then you're gonna want a ball diff grease. I prefer Kyosho. I think this stuff is just awesome. I use it in all my cars. It's a little pricey, but this is probably 2 years. That lasts forever. Really, really good stuff. You'll need your driver to tighten down the spring. And probably tweezers, unless I got old eyes, so I can't see too well. So I go with tweezers; it's a lot easier. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to assemble this and kind of talk along the way. Here we go. Everything's been laid out. You have basically your differing spacer, differing spur gear. Got your pins down here. I don't want to pick those up. Got your 10 hardened balls. Got our your outside slipper hub. Your stock pulley, stock thrust bearing, stock bearing, and then you've got a cup spacer that I made that goes on the spring. I'll explain that later. And you also have another diff ring. And we've got your thrust bearing spacer that fits in there too. It's called a hat spacer. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is disassemble your stock unit down to leave your original inside hub on, like so. And install your diff ring spacer, slides on, nice tight fit. Diff ring, like so. And then from here, we're going to go into the pins. Now, there's a couple different techniques for this. I typically just like to put it on beforehand. It's got kind of a snug fit where they won't fall out. You can do either way. So the thing about the pins, what the pins do is, the easiest way to explain it is the pins drive pressure into the balls under acceleration. So what that basically means is it's slowing the diff down the same way that, or the same theory as it would be as adding thicker diff fluid to a gear diff, which is basically what we're looking for. Got one in there. These pins are so light that you know, you don't really technically have to have them spaced equally apart, but it's nice to do that. The kit comes with 5 pins. All of our testing, we always ended up with 4 on our track. That's medium bite. You could probably go 5 on the higher bite. I honestly think that 4 is about all you're going to need. There'll be a few guys that might try to go a little higher. On a loose track, you could go probably 2 even, and it would still be great. So the pins are in there. You can see them kind of shining there. Now, when you install this, the pins need to face to the left. So as I'm holding this towards me, spur gear goes on, the pins are to the left side of the bigger holes. Okay? Now, the balls. A tip that I learned years and years and years ago about diff grease is that, you know, you don't need a lot of it. If you put too much on there, it's just going to fling off and make a dirty mess. So what I do is I'll put a dab of it, not a whole lot, in the palm of my hand. Take your diff balls, drop them in the grease. Like so, and just kind of mix them around a little bit, like that. Okay, that's all you need. That's it. So from this point, take your balls, take your tweezers, and drop them into the holes. Like so. Your balls are in. And then you can wipe the extra grease off your hands. Okay, next. The next piece is going to be our aluminum outside slipper hub. Now, as you'll see, it's got a nice, pretty chrome finish on it. So when I ship them with a protective coating that's on there, or protective film. So just basically take that and you just peel it off, like so. And you got a nice, pretty chrome finish on it. All right, so from there, you're gonna take your second diff ring, and there's a section on the back of it that shows where you can drop that right in. Fits right in there like that. Okay, and then you're gonna take your pulley, the pulley that come with your kit and your original kit, and you're gonna slide that in 3 holes. And what you'll notice is that the inside part of the diff ring actually kind of touches the three posts that are on the gear, keeping it centered perfectly, which worked out great. I didn't plan that, but it worked out that way. All right, once you get that done, simply install that on the shaft. So at this point, you have most everything assembled. Now we come to a thrust bearing. Now, same thing with a thrust bearing, like the diff grease. You don't need a lot of grease on there. Any excess grease is going to fling off once again and get all over the place and just make a mess. So basically, you set your thrust bearing down, put a couple dabs of grease on there, not a lot. I usually go like in 4 corners, and it's enough. Okay, from that point, your upper washer. Now also, you might want to flip your rings over from the way they are previously because of the way the stock slipper works. The thrust assembly slides on it instead of spins. So now it's going to spin because you've got 2 different actions and it's a differential. So once you get that on there, then you're going to get your hat spacer, which is this one right here. It's black. It's got a little lip on the edge of it. Kind of hard to see in the video. But that's going to slide down on top of the top washer and then into the actual thrust bearing cage, which you're going to have to probably move around a little bit to get that to slide down there. There we go. There you go. That's down. Next, your bearing. Install your bearing like so. Next, your cup washer. This is the kind of a natural looking color. There's a recess on the end of it, a counterbore. That counterbore goes down towards the bearing, like so. Then you're going to take your spring assembly and your nut, screw it back in just like stock, and then you tighten it down until the coils touch each other. They just kiss each other. And that's it. Completely installed. Now it should be semi-smooth. Once you start running the car, it'll get a lot smoother after a pack or two, and you'll notice a difference on the track for sure. That's it. Your Losi 22.4 center diff installation video. Thank you very much. There is one more thing that I failed to mention. On your inside, on the upper cover, there's a surface right. Picture that right there, the inside surface. It's going to be probably better to take like a cartridge roll on a Dremel tool and slightly bevel that edge. For some reason, it doesn't rub on the bottom, but it rubs on the top. Probably a molding issue when they molded the parts. I've had one car I didn't have to do that on. I've had two that I've had to, so I suggest I would just go ahead and just do it to get it over with, because it's a pain to get this thing off back and forth. Once again, I'll take a picture of it and post it too, but it's that inside surface right there. If you look closer, you can see where I've already cornered it a little bit. Haven't cleaned it up yet, but that was with the Dremel. And that's it.